What truly happens to our consciousness when we fall asleep? In a single moment, we close our eyes and the world around us fades into nothingness. The sounds, the sights, even the weight of our own body, all of it disappears. And yet, something within us remains awake. Something that continues to exist even as the body rests. As we sleep, the mind begins to weave landscapes, encounters, and entire events that often feel as real as waking life itself. We meet people we've never known, visit places that don't exist, and experience emotions so intense they stay with us long after we wake. But if sleep is meant to be just a biological reset for the body, why does the mind work so hard to create entire worlds while we're at rest? Science offers its explanations. Stages of sleep, brain regeneration, electrical activity, and chemical reactions. But none of these theories truly answer the deeper questions that haunt us. Why do some dreams feel so familiar? How is it possible to feel love, fear, or longing in worlds that exist only in our minds? And perhaps most unsettling of all, why do so many people report the eerie sensation of floating outside their own bodies, watching themselves from above, as if their consciousness could detach and roam freely through realms unknown? Dreams have always been a mysterious territory where the rules of the physical world seem powerless. In dreams, time bends, logic dissolves, and the impossible becomes real. But what if dreams are not just random fragments of the subconscious? What if every night, our consciousness is actually traveling beyond reality and crossing into hidden dimensions, exploring alternate realities or connecting with something far beyond human understanding? We're going to dive deep into this mystery together, because understanding what truly happens when we sleep might just unlock one of the greatest secrets of existence. And what you're about to discover could change the way you see reality forever. Welcome to Beyond Reality, a space where science, spirituality, and the unknown meet. If you like to explore the mysteries of consciousness, dreams, and the hidden layers of existence, make sure to subscribe and join us on this journey. Science has always tried to explain what happens when we dream. Researchers tell us that dreams are just the brain's way of processing memories, emotions, and random fragments of our daily lives. They describe sleep as a biological necessity, a time for the body to heal, for the mind to organize information, and for our brains to flush out toxins. We now know that during REM sleep, the brain becomes incredibly active. Regions responsible for vision and emotion, like the visual cortex and the limbic system, light up as if we were awake. Meanwhile, the part of the brain that controls logic and reasoning, the prefrontal cortex, quiets down. Maybe that's why dreams often feel bizarre, chaotic, and disconnected from reality. And yet, there's something about dreams that science still can't fully explain. If dreams are just random images fired off by a resting brain, why do some of them feel so vivid, so real, that we wake up breathless, haunted by emotions that linger for days? Why do we sometimes find ourselves in places we've never seen, having conversations with people we've never met, experiencing things that seem far beyond the limits of our imagination? Even more unsettling, why do some dreams seem to bleed into reality? How is it possible that people dream of events, sometimes tragedies, sometimes moments of joy, that later unfold exactly as they saw them days or even weeks before? Are these just coincidences, or is something much stranger happening? Science points to probability. The subconscious mind picking up subtle clues or patterns we don't consciously notice. But deep down, many of us feel there's more to it than that. A mystery science hasn't solved and maybe can't. Because if dreams were only chemical reactions and random memories, why do so many cultures across time and continents describe dreams as portals, as sacred spaces where the soul travels, where hidden knowledge is revealed, and where time itself breaks down? What if those ancient traditions weren't just myths, but glimpses of a deeper truth? What if when we dream, we're not just watching a movie created by our minds, but actually stepping beyond the limits of this physical reality. The question is, what exactly are we touching when we dream? And could it be that our consciousness was never meant to stay confined to this world? Among the most unsettling aspects of dreaming is the way some visions slip beyond the boundaries of the present. People speak of dreams that unfold days or even weeks later with frightening accuracy. Accidents, unexpected meetings, details too precise to dismiss. These aren't scattered fragments of imagination. They arrive fully formed. And when reality catches up, they leave a mark impossible to forget. Traditional science calls it coincidence. Subtle patterns absorbed by the subconscious, processed in sleep, then mistaken for prophecy. Still, no explanation feels complete when faced with dreams that describe places the dreamer has never visited, names they've never heard, or events that unfold exactly as seen. There are documented cases, tragic disasters, rare encounters, even entire landscapes dreamed of long before they ever happened. Not vague impressions, but intricate moments that play out with the same people, the same words, the same outcome. This strange phenomenon stretches the limits of what we understand about time. The mind drifts outside the linear path we walk while awake, hinting at the possibility that past, present, and future are not isolated points, but layers that are accessible, even if only briefly, when the conscious mind releases its grip. For centuries, physics has hinted at this notion. Some interpretations suggest that time doesn't flow the way we perceive it. Instead, every moment exists simultaneously, like pages in a book waiting to be read. If that is true, then dreams could be much more than just psychological noise. They might be windows into moments not yet lived, glimpses into the future, perhaps even the unseen worlds beyond our own. Beyond premonitions, dreams seem to bend time itself. A single night of sleep can feel like hours, days, or even years. Entire lifetimes experienced in vivid detail, only to vanish the moment we open our eyes. Memories of faces that never existed, love for people we've never met, grief for losses that have never occurred. Inside that fragile space, time stretches, memory expands, and the impossible becomes routine. Nothing in our waking life prepares us for that. And yet, it happens night after night. Dreams refuse to follow the rules of waking life. And when they spill over into reality, they leave us questioning the true nature of boundaries, of space, time, and even consciousness itself. There are moments when dreams shift into a different form, when the mind no longer feels confined within the body. People describe floating above their sleeping selves, observing their bodies from some distant vantage point. They remember every detail, the position of their limbs, the pattern on the blanket, the precise arrangement of objects around them. And when they awake, those details hold true. These experiences are unsettling because they break the unspoken rule that consciousness is bound to flesh and bone. Yet those who have experienced them speak of a clarity unlike any dream. The air feels different, colors become more vibrant. There's no confusion, no blurred edges, only the undeniable sensation of being fully awake outside the body. Across many cultures and traditions, this phenomenon has been described. It's said that the soul leaves the body, traveling through realms unseen by our waking eyes. In ancient wisdom, it was not regarded as fantasy, but as a skill, one that could be honed, refined, and even mastered. Modern research has struggled to explain it. Some dismiss it as a vivid hallucination, crafted by the mind desperate to make sense of the unknown. But there are cases too precise, too accurate to ignore, leading some researchers to admit that the answer remains elusive. Among the most studied is Robert Monroe, who documented countless experiences of his consciousness separating from his body. Time and again, he found himself in places he had never been, describing buildings, people, and events with striking accuracy. Later, many of those descriptions were verified, locations he'd never visited, confirmed by people he'd never met. It challenges the most fundamental assumption of neuroscience, that the mind is merely a product of the brain's activity. If consciousness can wander beyond the body, observe the world from a distance, and even gather information that could not be known by any other means, then something fundamental about our understanding of reality is missing. These out-of-body experiences don't follow the rules of dreams. They don't dissolve upon waking. They leave a lingering certainty, a quiet realization that what was seen was real. And once experienced, they change something deep within, planting the subtle truth that while the body may be home, it is not the limit of who we are. During sleep, something extraordinary happens deep within the brain. The body rests, but the mind enters a state that defies the logic of the waking world. Hidden among these shifts, the pineal gland releases trace amounts of a powerful compound, dimethyltryptamine, or DMT. Known as one of the most potent natural psychedelics, DMT induces vivid visions, altered perceptions of time, and encounters that feel impossible to replicate. Found in plants used for sacred rituals, DMT is revered as a bridge between the physical world and something far greater, something that transcends human comprehension. During sleep, this compound flows naturally, unbidden, unnoticed. It raises a quiet possibility that sleep itself is not merely a biological process, but a portal, one that opens each night as consciousness drifts free from its earthly anchor. Those who have explored DMT-induced states describe landscapes beyond imagination, vast structures, impossible geometries, and beings who watch from the shadows. Many return forever changed, struggling to explain the profound certainty that they were not alone in those realms. If such realms exist, and if the mind accesses them naturally during sleep, it becomes increasingly difficult to view dreams as mere fragments of memory. Perhaps they are not inventions of the brain, but glimpses into something real, something waiting just beyond the threshold of perception. Experiments with altered states of consciousness reveal the same patterns. Under the influence of DMT, subjects report visions eerily similar to deep dreams or out-of-body experiences, leaving their bodies, traveling through luminous tunnels, meeting beings that seem aware, curious, even expectant. What makes this even more unsettling is the consistency. Different people from various cultures, separated by time and distance, return from these altered states describing the same encounters, the same places, the same overwhelming sense that they've crossed a boundary few dare to name. It suggests that dreams, and the hidden chemistry behind them, may serve a purpose we've only begun to understand. Not a malfunction, not a byproduct, but a gateway, a doorway designed to connect us with something far beyond this waking life. And each time we close our eyes, that door opens, silent, unseen, whether we remember crossing it or not. Most dreams dissolve the moment we wake. Faces blur. Words vanish. Entire worlds crumble as our eyes open. What felt undeniable in the dark slowly fades into fragments, half remembered, half imagined, until even the emotions they carried slip through our fingers. Science points to the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory. During sleep, it operates differently, less focused on preserving moments and more intent on letting them fade. This is offered as a simple explanation. Dreams are not meant to stay with us. But that answer leaves behind an unsettling truth. Forgetting may not be a mere accident. Some researchers suggest that the mind may not just fail to remember. It may be actively erasing, selectively, intentionally, and perhaps even protectively. If dreams are truly windows into something greater, into futures not yet lived or realms beyond our own, then the question isn't why we forget, but why we are not allowed to remember. There are moments, however, when a dream refuses to fade. Some dreams are etched into memory for years, decades even, haunting the edges of waking life. These dreams carry a weight too heavy to be dismissed. Encounters that feel unfinished. Messages that seem meant for us alone. What makes these fragments survive when others are lost? Some believe that these persistent dreams carry deep meaning, either drawn from the subconscious or delivered from something beyond it. Messages from realms we cannot name but instinctively recognize. Others turn to ancient practices, hypnosis, or deep meditation to pull forgotten dreams back into the light, often uncovering visions too strange to explain, encounters with unknown beings, glimpses of other lives, memories that feel borrowed. And then there is déjà vu, an eerie certainty of having lived a moment before, without knowing how or when. A street never walked, a voice never heard, yet strangely familiar. Some wonder if these moments are fragments of dreams resurfacing, pieces of a memory the mind tried to bury, but failed to fully erase. This leaves us with one final, unspoken, and unsettling question. If the mind is capable of erasing what it chooses, who or what decides what we're allowed to remember? And what would happen if we remembered it all? Inside dreams, time loses its grip. A few minutes of sleep can stretch into hours, days, even years. Entire lifetimes unfold. Relationships are formed, worlds are explored, emotions are carried so deeply that they linger long after waking. Yet, when the eyes open, only moments have passed. Nothing in waking life prepares the mind for this kind of distortion. It defies every rule we trust about the passage of time, calendars, clocks, the steady rhythm of night and day. In the realm of dreams, none of it matters. Studies on REM sleep reveal how differently the brain operates during these moments. Time is no longer measured in seconds or hours. Instead, it bends and twists, expanding or collapsing based on something far stranger than physical laws. Lucid dreamers, those who have trained themselves to remain conscious within the dream, have tried counting, marking time as best they can. The results are never the same. Sometimes time flows too fast, sometimes too slow, and sometimes it simply stops. This fragile space where time unravels raises unsettling questions about the nature of reality itself. If the mind can experience years within minutes, what does that say about the world we wake up to each day? Is time truly a constant, or is it simply another layer of perception, one we mistake for truth because it feels solid beneath our feet? Some physicists argue that time, as we understand it, may be an illusion. They suggest that every moment, past, present, and future, exists all at once, already written, already waiting. If this is true, then dreams may offer more than just an escape or reflection. They may serve as rare moments when consciousness slips beyond the illusion, touching fragments of time our waking minds were never meant to see. There are countless stories of people waking from dreams, only to recall memories that don't belong to them. Lives lived, languages spoken, grief carried from losses that never happened in this world. The mind knows the difference between fantasy and memory. What stays with us from these dreams doesn't feel imagined. It feels real. Perhaps that's because, in those moments, it is. Time inside dreams slips through our fingers, revealing glimpses of something that our waking minds can't grasp, a vast, timeless reality that exists beyond the limits of our perception. It is a reminder that the world we trust might only be a single version of reality, one bound by rules that fall away the moment we close our eyes. Some dreams feel too coherent to be dismissed, too structured, too detailed, too alive. Streets stretch beyond imagination. Cities function with their own rules. Faces carry histories unknown to us, yet somehow familiar. Waking from these dreams often leaves us with a lingering ache, as if something real was left behind. The multiverse theory suggests that our reality may not be the only one. Instead, what we experience as life could be just one variation among infinite possibilities. Each universe with its own version of events, choices, and outcomes. Science treats it as a mathematical possibility, while philosophy sees it as a reflection of something much older, the idea that existence is layered, infinite, and far more complex than we can ever truly understand. If every possible reality truly exists, then what happens when consciousness slips free from its usual anchor during sleep? What if, instead of creating worlds from memory and imagination, the mind simply drifts sideways into versions of reality that exist alongside our own? This might explain the strange consistency found in dreams reported by people who have never met, never spoken, and never shared a culture, the same landscapes, the same structures, the same sense of being watched by something vast and unfamiliar. It would also explain why some dreams don't behave like dreams at all. Countless accounts tell of people waking with knowledge they never learned, fragments of languages they don't speak, memories of skills they've never studied, entire emotional histories carried from lives that don't belong to them. In those moments, it feels less like invention and more like retrieval. As if consciousness wandered too far, crossed into a version of existence it was never meant to see, and brought something back. The rules we follow while awake, rules of time, space, identity, don't apply in these places. And yet, the experiences feel complete, whole, unshakably real. Perhaps dreams aren't just reflections of what's inside us at all. Perhaps they are glimpses of what exists just beyond the thin line we call reality, layers stacked one over the other, invisible until the mind is free enough to see them. And every time sleep pulls us under, there's a chance we slip through. The more we pull at the threads of dreams, the more fragile waking life begins to feel. We trust this world because it holds shape. It follows rules. Gravity keeps us grounded. Time moves forward, and memory draws a clean line between what was real and what was not. But sleep exposes the cracks in that certainty. Dreams remind us that consciousness isn't confined to this body or even this version of reality. It moves, it sees, it remembers things we were never taught. And when it returns, it carries traces of places we can't explain. The question no longer feels like whether dreams matter, but whether waking life is the whole story. Perhaps what we call reality is simply the state our minds return to most often, familiar, predictable, safe. But if dreams open the door to everything else, other times, other lives, other versions of ourselves, then sleep is no longer just rest. It's passage, a journey across a landscape too vast to see all at once. And maybe that's why we forget. Not because the dreams are meaningless, but because the weight of remembering it all would be too much. Because if we carried every fragment of every world we touched, the borders would collapse. And this version of reality, the one that feels so solid, might fall apart. Still, there are nights when something breaks through. A dream that doesn't fade. A feeling that lingers, impossible to explain. A moment of déjà vu, so strong it steals the breath from your lungs. And in those moments, it's hard to shake the sense that some part of us remembers. Some part knows. We are travelers in our sleep. Voyagers through time, through memory, through worlds stacked just out of reach. And what waits on the other side of that thin veil is not fantasy. It's something real, something vast. The question is never whether these places exist. The question is whether we're ready to see them. Thanks for exploring this journey beyond reality with us. Subscribe, stay curious, and remember, every night when the world falls silent, your mind may be traveling farther than you ever imagined, beyond time, beyond space, beyond everything you thought was